Rarely do we encounter products that absolutely change our lives. Well, I've got one, and you're not gonna have to wait 10 minutes while some AI voice tries to sell you some bullshit. I'm gonna cut right to the chase. That product is a bidet. If you don't know what a bidet is, it is an appliance that uses a stream of water to replace the function of toilet paper. Well, it doesn't actually replace it because you still have to dry yourself off, but that water stream does the heavy lifting of what toilet paper is supposed to do. It was invented initially in the 1700s and used by French aristocracy. Napoleon Bonaparte was a big fan and so much prized his own silver bidet that he left it in his will to his son. And let me tell you, that thing is absolutely magical. And if you think that you're clean and you don't have a bidet, I hate to burst your bubble. You're not. What's that sound? I'll tell you what that sound is. That sound is the next chapter of your life. A life that will be cleaner than you ever could have dreamed. Now, check out this little demo, and please stick around to the end because I will explain that sound to you, and it's going to be worthwhile listening to because it is the defining feature of this thing, and it's a game changer. If you don't have a bidet, this is your world. A world of filth and savagery. Look at this. Trying to clean this apple off with a tissue, and I guess I'm getting some of it, but I'm also smearing a lot of it. And it's not as clean a job as one would like, and there's still some on the apple. There's still some on my fingers. Horrible. I can still smell something. Who needs it? Contrast it with this. This is what civilization looks like. Look at the level of clean that was achieved in a matter of seconds. Not a nook or cranny has been spared. Check it out. See that hole? Nothing in there. Who can beat this? Nothing detectable. Good enough to eat. So, as promised, I will explain to you what that sound was. That was a sound of water shooting into a sphincter, setting off the body's nerves, which then shoots the water back out. And that is where this thing shines. That is the essence of the bidet. Because of that water pressure and because of the contractions that get set off from the water shooting up there, the body shoots out any solid material that's in there. So the water shoots into your intestines and the body shoots the water out along with the solid stuff. And that's what makes it what it is. And it happens in waves. So it shoots it out, shoots it out, shoots it out, shoots it out. That's what you were listening to. Do that a bunch of times and there is absolutely nothing left in there and you are spotless. So if you're into any of the adventurous stuff with getting your salads tossed or anything like that, you can go into it with 100% confidence that there will be no nasty surprises. And what can beat that? I would like to end this by recommending a particular brand, and I'm only recommending it because it's the one that I use. Not being endorsed by anyone, not being paid for anyone, I'm not making any money out of this. The brand was BioBidet, and they have a few models, but this one was the cheapest one. And to make a long story short, the cheapest one was actually the best one. Initially, my wife wanted to get a fancy bidet, so we wound up paying like $300. And the $300 one had lights, and it had sensors, and it had temperature controls, and it had remote controls, and all these bells and whistles, which were a complete waste of time. First of all, the thing was built pretty poorly because it slants forward. So every time I'm sitting down, I'm actually falling forward into the toilet so that my junk is hitting the porcelain. That was no fun. That was stupid. That was disgusting. And it just turned out not to be worth our while, right? And at the end of the day, to make everything even worse, there was no water pressure. Like it barely reached you. And I learned from having a bidet that water pressure is everything. And the cheaper models are also the mechanically simplest models. And because they're so mechanically simple, the water, there was nothing to impede the water pressure. In fact, the cheaper models have so much water pressure that if you were to turn that dial all the way up, you could hurt yourself. But that's not a problem because you can actually control it pretty well, so you'll be able to feel before that's going to happen. But the pressure is really the name of the game. You want a nice, healthy level of water pressure, and the inexpensive models, because of their simplicity, are able to provide that. It was between $40 and $50, so you can't beat that. The cheapest one was actually the best one. Highly recommend it. I will also add that the temperature was not a problem, because that was one thing you might be wondering about. I live in the Northeast. We have freezing winters. Not a problem, right? It was fine. But the water pressure is what you want. So that's it. Run to get one. This thing is incredible. It will change your life. You're welcome. Peace.